Someone said, "Why am I going to pay $500 for a picture of a hobo?"
I always thought Kyle Beckerman was a good player.
Fire sticking their foot in it.
They said they were going to cut my food rations.
Cork soaking.
There is no possible way to articulate the malaise, the lack of ambition, the way it's felt for so long to be a fan better than he did. Welcome back to the Enemies of the Fire podcast. I am FC Neo Tokyo. This is DPG, and we are here to talk all things Continental Championship, Major League Soccer, and the Chicago Fire won a game? That doesn't seem right. Anyway, DPG, there was 2 big Champions League games this week, and I didn't pay attention to either of them. Oh, by the way, we're back after a week hiatus. Without Jaymes.
Without Jaymes.
I forgot to add all the pertinent information.
Yeah. Jaymes is now here with us this week. I think, what is he doing? Skiing or something?
Probably, yes, probably skiing. He'll be back next week. But we are Jamesless, and there was games of soccer. I didn't watch them. Did you watch it?
Yep. I watched some of it. I did watch the Fire game. I didn't watch the Pachuca game though.
No, I didn't watch. You know what? Even though being a rare individual having the ability to watch the CONCACAF Champions League, I actually didn't. Right? You know what? I love this competition too. I just forgot all about it. And then the UEFA Champions League was the most. Yep. It was the most predictable game of soccer to ever exist. It just was exactly what anyone thought it was.
Yep.
That's exactly what it was. 2-0. Real Madrid takes care of Dortmund.
I mean, was anybody expecting anything differently? Like, this is a very strong Real Madrid team, and this is a Dortmund team that was like 3rd in the Bundesliga, or even maybe lower
probably
than that.
Lower actually. I'd have to check, but yeah, they did not have a great Bundesliga campaign. Now, they're always a squad that's going to get better next year, and you know what I mean? Yeah. But still, like...
Unless Bayern buys their players.
Yeah. It's already begun. Bayern's getting that Ta guy from Leverkusen. But, so Madrid wins, what is this, the 14th Champions League title?
Yeah,
this is crazy. Like...
And you know what? I thought about this when I was watching this game, like, how can you differentiate between like the real Real Madrid fans, no pun intended, or like the ones that jump on the bandwagon? Like,
how do you know like, once you become a global brand, does that even necessarily matter? Like, it really, it's hard for me. That's why I like MLS. That's why we do a fire-centric podcast. I live in Chicago. Like, I care about Chicago. I really have never been able to get myself too worked up about Leeds or whatever, you know what I mean? Or Manchester United or whatever.
It always cracks me up when I see those individuals that wake up at the crack of dawn at 6 a.m. to go to a local pub and watch like a Premier League game. Like, dude, I'd rather be sleeping and be on my 4th stream than waking up early. It feels like I'm going to work, you know?
Yeah.
Waking up that early.
I mean, I do try to watch the big matchups where like the Champions League I usually catch, but this year I knew it was going to be dumb and I was going to the Fire game, blah, 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 right? But I did actually, I lied. I watched 15 minutes of it. I turned it on and I was like, yep, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be, you know? But,
oh, man.
You know, like I said, it's hard to muster a lot of care. It happened exactly like how it happened.
It does. And, you know, honestly, I think if a team's becoming like a global brand, it's harder and harder to find those fans that have been there since day one. We might get to see that with what's that team again? One
Wrexham?
in Wales. Yeah, Wrexham. Yeah.
I mean,
we
actively they just celebrated a man's 100th birthday. He was talking about a game from 1928. Like, exactly. Bro has been day one.
And the thing about it is that you see this now. You see all these individuals from the neighborhood. What happens if Wrexham actually, gets to the Premier League and becomes a global brand, do you think those individuals are still going to be in that in that process? I mean, I'm sure they're still going to be following the team, but and that's kind of when I was getting to it last time, where you kind of lose a little bit of identity once you make it to a global stage. You
Well,
know,
okay, but it just morphs, right? Like, can you ever really
yeah,
say, like, Real Madrid, like, there are some people who just care about what's cool and love Real Madrid, or they played it on FIFA in, they grew up in Indonesia or America or Canada or wherever, and they played the team on FIFA because they were really good and they needed to beat their older
yeah,
brother. And then they fell in love with, these players, and then they love them from afar. That's a real thing, right? Like, it's fine to be a fan of whoever you're a fan of. It's just soccer's so weird with this kind of like barrier to
it,
entry about fandom,
it,
like how hardcore you
yeah.
are. Because, like, I guess that stems from when the fans were like gangs, right? Like
Yeah,
firms, like
roving gangs. Yeah.
roving
So
gangs, yeah.
it's funny you mentioned about the video game stuff because, uh, back, and this is back 20 years ago, maybe even before that, like in the late 90s, I actually started kind of paying attention to some of these European teams from playing FIFA. Um, and back then it was so hard to watch a Premier League game. It was so hard to watch a Serie A game or even a Liga game. I think back then you had to like order it on pay-per-view.
Oh, or
You
like I
know,
guess that's why there's so many Manchester United fans, because the PBS would show games. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
So
it's kind of like with the
I mean,
Cubs. Like, oh, everybody had
yeah,
WGN. Why not be a Cubs fan, right?
WGN, yeah. But the thing
So,
is, when I was younger, I actually used to be a big Manchester United fan. And I kind
what
of,
what what turned
I
you
guess you could
off? Was
say,
that Trader Van Persie coming
no,
over? No.
no. So, and it was more or less just kind of it wasn't, it was just a combination of things, but I really, really, was into Manchester United because I played a copy of like, um, Football Manager 2. And I think, and that version of that game, it still had Eric Cantona playing for Man U. And so, I was so good with that team. Like that team was unbeatable. Like I used to love playing as them. And then I ended up getting the later version, which was like the 97, 98 season. And that one had David Beckham. It had all
Oh, it had that
the
class of
class of 90.
'92. Yep, yep.
Yeah. And that team was awesome. So that kind of got me into it. Um, and that was how I kind of, really found like my following for a club. Um,
Well, see,
but
that makes
now
sense.
it's,
But some people didn't
yeah,
move on to their local team.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, and I think it's an epiphany. I think one day it's like I kind of realized, because I used to follow. I try to watch as much European soccer as I could, but one day I kind of like, man, it's like I would really like to see these teams live, but I have to go to Europe for that. Going to Europe is expensive.
still
And if
is.
I want to watch, it still
Confirmed.
is.
Still is.
It still is. And if I watch them, and if I want to watch them regularly, that's going to be very expensive. I got to either be a billionaire or, or know someone. But and that's kind of what kind of turned me on to like MLS and the Chicago Fire. I was like, that's my local team. They represent the city I grew up in. Why wouldn't I support them?
It makes sense to me. All right, so there's one more thing before we move on to
Yeah.
our local Champions League I want to touch on. I mean, Vinny Jr. is kind of becoming the truth, right? Like
Yeah.
he's gonna be that other guy. Like you had Ronaldo and Messi, but then there was still Rooney doing his thing, right? Like I
Yeah.
feel like Vinny's kind of like that. He's gonna be a great.
He's
He
the
won't.
background guy.
He's never gonna be the GOAT, but he's gonna be
Yeah.
goated, right? That type of thing, and it's
Would you
wild.
say like a Zlatan type player?
You know what? There's not many Zlatans. It's like
Oh,
how
that guy's
it's
unique.
like you can kind of compare like Charles Oakley to Dennis Rodman, but there is no
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman. You feel me? That's
There's
like
no Dennis
Zlatan.
Rodman.
Yeah.
It's
So
like,
more like a Ryan or a David Beckham. More like a David Beckham or a.
I would even say David Beckham, because David Beckham had his own universe. I
Okay,
would kind of
you're right.
I would
That's
say like
fair.
a Ryan Giggs. I would say like a Ryan Giggs.
Yeah, or
Like he's really great.
I feel you.
But yeah,
But it's funny to me how much hate that he got a couple years ago, It's like the kid was 19. They're like, what a flop. He's awful. It's like,
Yeah.
dog, now look at him. He's walking on water, man. But anyway,
Yeah.
speaking of water, don't drink the water. But no, did you hear about the CONCACAF Champions League? Did you hear about this? Or my fault is the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I actually liked it better when it was the Champions League. But anyway,
Yeah, me too.
I stepped on you. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know. I honestly, I don't watch the game. I just saw the scoreline. Pachuca won 3-0.
Did you hear?
What was it?
Did you hear anything else?
No. What did I miss?
Apparently, everyone from coaching staff to equipment manager to player on Columbus had crazy diarrhea and stomach problems.
Oh,
they're saying they were all really sick. Now, Wilfred Nancy's like, whatever, it's not like what lost us the game, but we were dealing with some things.
I think that lost them. I think that lost them the game.
Of course, that lost the game.
You know what? It's funny when you hear stories like this, and this is why I don't blame when teams actually bring their own stuff. Like they'll bring their own water, they'll bring their own hydration products. They literally have their own chef. They will.
I feel you on the chef stuff. I just, I made the joke about don't drink the water, right? But like, I'm as a person who haven't been out of the country, out of America besides Canada, right? I haven't even been to Mexico, so I don't like to comment on how other people are living. But you always hear about like issues with the actual tap water, right? So I saw some insane people talking about a conspiracy theory, but I think that's just more because I follow Colin and all the people he follows somehow. but I don't think so. I just think like that shit happens. It just does. Teams pass away in plane accidents too. Like shit just happens sometimes, and it's just a game, and you may have lost the championship, but it's fine. They had a good season.
But I gotta say this: it's one thing for one or two players to get sick. It's another when the whole entire team, from like the equipment guy all the way to your DP player gets sick. That's like, okay, so maybe this wasn't just one or two players. Maybe this was like, maybe it could be a conspiracy. The whole thing about don't drink the water, that's true. I mean, I've been outside the country. I wouldn't dare drink the water from a running faucet. I'm not gonna take that chance. And yes, I will admit something though. If you're eating the food outside the U.S. and let's say, well, I've been to Mexico and I've been to Honduras. Obviously, when I go to Mexico, I said, I usually stay at a nice beach, vacation spot, whatever. Normally, I don't get sick there. Now, when I go to Honduras, the food might hit me the first few days.
Oh, really?
And it hits me, yes. Yes, let's just put it like this: you become regular. And you know what? And the crazy thing is, it's not.
I'm vegan. I live regular.
No, not the stuff, and it's not even like diarrhea. It's just regular. And this is why it's funny. I had this friend. I got this coworker of mine that used to travel. He was part of a band. He used to travel extensively, and he used to go to Europe. And he used to tell me, like, bro, over there in Europe, bro, you can eat as much as you want and you end up losing weight.
Because it's real food. They're not allowed to put the chemicals in. Yeah. Dude.
It makes sense.
We're a little... We lost the plot a little bit here, but I'll say this. You were talking about conspiracy or not. I would find it more believable that the conspiracy is in if it was just a few people. But the fact that it was everybody means it was like, here's a giant tray of salad, and they all ate it and got sick. Like I got food food poisoning from fucking Whole Foods in Schaumburg, Illinois. about 2 or 3 months ago, and I was down for 2 days. I was down. So I don't even.
You name dropping stores though.
I'm gonna bleep that. I mean, I didn't call. I wasn't like super pissed, but I've been a little gun shy about getting the salad bars.
I mean, do you really trust the salad bar from like if it's like an open spot?
All the time.
I get salad all the time. Everywhere.
Mariano's, Whole Foods, Jewel used to have it, man. I haven't been to a Jewel in a hot minute. I got like 4 of those gift cards from the Fire game.
That's 20 out right there. You could buy one thing.
I know I could get. Okay, well, all right. We've gone off course. Pachuca won 3-0. Real Madrid won 2-0. Congratulations to all the champions. We will be champions, and we'll be right back to talk all sorts of MLS nonsense. Thanks, guys. Welcome back, fellow enemies of the Fire. Now that you've gotten to this segment, you owe us $350,000 in allocation money. I don't know. None of that makes sense because no MLS rules make sense. Dude,
Nope.
we were talking about, wait, what are we going to talk about? There's a lot of incoming transfer rumors and deals being done. And straight up, like, Marco Reus is going to the LA Galaxy, which thank God that happened before we played him. But,
yeah,
like, that's big news, man. That's actually, like, a piece they're missing. Like, think about Reus being a little less mobile than Feud in the center there, and
yeah,
it's going to be brutal.
I mean, not to mention the LA Galaxy opened up the wallet and paid Charlotte for the privilege of signing Marco Reus.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
so let's give it up to Charlotte for doing a good piece of business of going back in time and discovering a young Marco Reus and putting him in the Dortmund system and getting the ball rolling on that. Thank you, Charlotte. Don't know who's behind that, but thank you.
Yep.
That is the dumbest thing.
Even know.
MLS rules are effing ridiculous.
It's dumb, man. It's dumb. It's like, bro, like if the man wants to sign with LA Galaxy, just let him sign. Like, what do you got to pay somebody discovery rights?
I think the problem. I think one of the problems is the rest of the world wants a salary cap, so they're all rooting for us. And then, also other American leagues, it's going to look bad if we drop it, right? Yeah. So I just wish instead of all this garbage and tricks and accounting nonsense, they just said, here you go. Here's the salary cap is now 15 times larger. It's a stuck rate. Don't you dare spend a penny under it or over it. We're gonna punch you in the balls. Like, just give us a straight number.
But you know what? Like MLB doesn't even have a salary cap. They have what they call a luxury tax,
which I love.
Like
I love it.
Which is fine. If a team wants to spend X amount of money on a whole squad, cool. Go charge them, a percentage of that and call it a day. That's it.
It's like tax. It's like looking at that item. It's like $19.99. It's like, I want to get that first baseman. Well, but after tax, it's going to be $23.50. Okay, I can pay that.
Cool. Yeah, exactly. So, like, why not go that route? It's not just well, I mean, I don't want to say NBA, NHL, and all those other leagues, but at least for MLS, because this sport, it's whoever has the deepest pockets, especially in Europe, who could afford who, and this is why like the Liga MX teams, whom. This is why Liga MX teams, always tend to beat up on MLS teams because MLS, they got one hand tied behind their back, and they got the left hand, and they're not even a lefty.
Dude, MLS and Liga MX are equal on positions 1 through 11. Where you really, because people were saying like Columbus has a bigger budget than Pachuca, which is true, but they're forced to spend it a certain way. You know what I mean? You're forced to dump all the money into the those 3 players, right? Like you can't take Shaqiri's budget and be like, well, forget Shaqiri, we're gonna get 3 people. You can't do that. You have to dump all your money into one. So it's like, I get that argument, but the issue where MLS teams run into is the bench. Injuries, the bench, like, that's where they always fall off, man. It's
especially if you're like a team like Miami that has all their money on the field, and their bench is like academy players, players that they got on a draft or college draft, and that's it. I mean, it's
just warm bodies. Like,
warm bodies.
Does he have a pulse? Dope. You're on the bench.
Yep.
But you brought up the first place in the East, and I think in the Supporter Shield race with 35 points, Inter Miami. Now, I have a question for you.
Okay.
If you're Inter Miami and you're playing as well as you're playing, do you sign Angel DiMaria or do you get a defender? Like, you could pay a defender the same amount and get a really good one and probably be 10 times better.
Let me ask you a question. David Beckham, how many times did you see him defend?
What? Defend? Well, didn't he step? No, that was Rooney. I was about to say, didn't he step on somebody's nuts too? But no, that was Rooney.
I mean, exactly. So, his club, he's probably has that mindset like, forget defending. We're just gonna be all
outscore him
attacking
5-4. Yeah, we're gonna win every game 5-4.
Yeah, exactly. We got the stars. We got Messi. If Messi wants to wants to make, senior league Barcelona team on it, then fine.
Oh, I'm all for it because you can, I like this new Major League Soccer. You can win multiple ways. You can win with youth or with deals. You can win with experience. You can win with European guys. You can win with old guys. You can do a lot of things to be successful in MLS, and somehow the Fire don't do any of them. But I digress. Yeah. How can they financially make this work? I
honestly, I think something's going on. I think Don Garber probably was like, you know what, David, you saved this league back in 2006, whatever it was. You know what? Whatever you're gonna pay these guys, put half of it under the table. We'll just say they are Templars.
You know what? I always say that about college sports where they vacate championships and shit. And I'm like, you can't take away the party, man. The party already happened, So yeah. I feel you. You know what? I've kind of taken that tact with Miami. I'm just gonna enjoy the ride. The party's happening.
Keep in mind. There's not going to be another investigation because Miami has gotten in trouble about this.
I know
before.
Between the two of us, that we're the ones who can't pronounce shit.
Matuidi. Yeah. So think about it. He got caught. They got caught for that. But you think they're gonna, they're selling Messi jerseys like hotcakes. They're selling so much stuff from Miami that's labeled that, anything that says Miami and Messi, it sells. So Don Garber is probably like, I don't care who you sign, I don't care what they do, but if they can make money, bring them on board. Well,
I mean,
that's.
You know what? DiMaria is gonna tear this league up. He has still got it. That's the thing. It's not like when we signed guys who didn't have knees anymore and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. These guys still got it. They just might not have it at beating Manchester City on a Tuesday. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got the Shark, you got the Wonder Kid. You got DiMaria.
Well, their keeper is pretty good too. That Derek Callender or whatever.
Yeah, that's probably because he was. What was he, like a draft pick or something?
Yeah, he's. He's a kid. He's young.
Exactly. And then you might get lucky, playing a college kid or a kid, and he actually might turn out to be, good. So I think it's just more or less the position that Miami put itself in within the league in terms of marketing and, global awareness and, selling all those jerseys. And come on, how many times? I think when they announced Messi was coming, I think the MLS store was sold out of Miami
instantly,
jerseys.
absolutely instantly.
Yeah,
people was getting Messi on their team's fucking jerseys. It was crazy. Now, do you think? Let's think about this for a second. Marco Reus, never always the bridesmaid, never the groom or whatever, right? He played for Dortmund.
Like a Shaqiri?
Yeah, he played for Dortmund forever. Munich. Munich never came to get him.
Yeah.
Is he pissed now? He's going to LA and Messi's over there in Miami. He's gonna be the bridesmaid again.
Oh man, you know what? That's a good question. You know what? I honestly think that Marco Reus is not. He's not gonna think about Messi. He's probably gonna be thinking about Salt Lake City.
Oh, God, yeah, Salt Lake's in the lead in the West. The thing about Royce is, and I hate to say this because I don't wish ill upon him at all, but I feel like he's the perfect MLS signing from back in the day. He's going to come here. He's going to get a 2-year deal, and he's going to play 7 games total. Like, he'll be injured the rest of the time.
So like a Gareth Bale?
Yeah, kind of. But Bale Bale is just a weirdo, man. What is it with Bale? You got Christian Bale, Gareth Bale. They're all weird. I think they're related.
It's like, it was weird because this guy was sitting on the bench. He wasn't even starting. And it's like, man, you have like...
You have
money.
Gareth Bale, and he's just on the bench, just chilling till like the 80th minute, and he's like, boom, I got you one. Like, it's wild.
Yeah, it's just... It is what it is. I mean, I don't know. It's, but then again, you look at a team like Real Salt Lake, and they don't even have any of these big names, but they're killing it on the West.
Well, they do have a big name. Everybody forgot to put respect on Christian Rurango's name. Remember, he was doing the same thing at LAFC, and then he went to Mexico, and I think they just did not, use him to his best. They did not put him in his position to succeed. And now that he's back, Real Salt Lake is benefiting from the Fire could have had that guy. We signed Hugo, which I like. I like Hugo, but
honestly, that's gonna be a whole conversation.
That's a whole can of worms.
Yep, I'm not even gonna get into it, man. I'll just put it like this. Marco Royce, good luck. Is LA even gonna face Miami later this season?
That's a good question. I'll have to look that up in the break. I don't know. So speaking of the break, before we get to it, we've got one more biggie here. Just hot off the presses, baby. Tim Ream of Fulham fame and New York Red Bull fame is in talks to go to Charlotte. I feel like this is perfect. It's perfect timing in his career. And I think he should come to the Fire. But anyway, Charlotte's getting a solid player. They're just I wish he would go to a more put together team to get some more glory.
We're not even put together.
No, not at all. God no. But I don't know. What do you think? Are you now anti Tim Ream national team because he's going to be in MLS?
He's at that age, man. He's 34, 35.
7.
He's at that age. He's 37. Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I'll look it up.
That's right. Yeah. He's 7. Yeah. Of course. Hey, time to come back home, right? So it is what it is.
I'm with it. I'm 100% on board. For me, I still think he can play. Like, he literally was playing in the Premier League at a high level last season. Not his best, but I think he can still play. Now,
so
I'm going to say something very controversial.
Here we go.
I think, personally, Tim Ream may have, from start to finish, the most complete and successful European career of any U.S. player.
I don't know, man.
Because, Pulisic have hit high highs, but he's hit low lows.
How many trophies does Tim Ream have?
He's got a couple because they won the championship a couple times. That's the other thing. He survived yo-yoing, which, you know what? There's plenty of English national team players who yo-yoed on a team here or there. You know what I'm saying? This is not a weird thing. He put together a solid campaign that survived the championship and survived the Premier League deep into his 30s as captain, as stalwart, through many a manager. Not a one of them could get rid of him. You know what I'm saying? They'd all come in and sit him, and then 2 games later he'd be back. You know what I mean? I remember when he was bad with the national team and all the hate I would give him. But honestly, all is forgiven, man. I think he's had a great career. I think he's had the most solid, successful career in Europe.
I want to say this. At the level that the U.S. men's national team is at now, and by all means, Tim Ream has had a great career. But I kind of want to say this, and this is just kind of playing devil's advocate. This will be a great career if we were talking about him if this was 10, 15 years ago.
Well, I don't know, man. He was, because what, 2015? He's been there almost 10 years in England, and you got to think he was in Major League Soccer, and if I'm not mistaken, which I may be, I think he has a Defender of the Year under his belt.
I like Tim Ream. But then it's like when you look at other guys that are playing in high level teams, like, high stakes. I want to say high stakes teams. You got your AC Milan players.
Oh, dude, you forget. He was over there in 2011. He was on Bolton for a few years. I totally forgot that.
Oh man, so this man has been playing for like relegation fighters.
Hey.
It's just, Bolton Wanderers, man.
Okay, I will take that back. He did not win an MLS Defender of the Year, but I still think a great career. And kudos to Tim Ream.
He you know what? He's had a great career.
I look forward to the next 5 years of Tim Ream in the MLS.
Oh Jesus!
He's gonna do two. He's gonna do two in Charlotte. He's gonna play in his 40s in St. Louis.
So what is it, CJ Sapong style?
I hope so. I love you too, CJ. You take care of yourself.
Yep.
We'll be right back, everybody, to dissect, to evaluate all things Chicago Fire. Since we missed a week, we have missed 4 games worth of stuff, which I only remember 1. Peace.
Yeah.
Welcome back, enemies of the Fire. We're here to speak about the Chicago Fire, the team itself. The whole reason we're here. The thing we keep trying to avoid talking about is a terrible soccer team. Now, we missed a week, so they won a game. But before we give them their flowers for winning a game, let's rewind time. So we missed their loss to Columbus at home, which sucked.
Surprising, not surprised.
Which now I can't remember what happened that game. Yeah, I literally don't. I was there. I don't remember anything about the game.
All the games look alike to me at this point.
Yeah, dude, for real. Like everything has become monochromatic, right? So
you know what's crazy is that I probably know more about that game behind me on this poster against Seattle than I do about what happened against Columbus.
Right. Well, yeah, you even went to that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
So DC we tied, which we played poorly but still tied. And then as a ever-present theme, the next game was on a Wednesday in Soldier Field. We played Orlando and we tied, giving up a goal instantly. I mean, I kind of like this better than giving it up late like we used to. I kind of like giving it up in the first 5 minutes. Instead of
what
late.
It reminded me? You know what that goal reminded me? It's like when I take my son. No, it's like when I take my son to soccer practice. All the little 3 or 4 year olds playing soccer, and then they can't clear the ball and they kick it in their own net. That's what it reminded me of.
It's ridiculous. It's been talked to death by the national people, but like the big conspiracy, like Major League Soccer put it out and then they got embarrassed and took down the tweet.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. You got 4 guys there. They can't clear it. They can't clear a ball.
Dude, I guarantee I don't have this on deck, right? But I guarantee if you go back through the Premier League, that happened in the Premier League this year.
Maybe, but nobody remembers that. Everybody remembers about the Fire.
Well, exactly, because it's always shit on MLS time. But anyway, the game itself, I'll say this. They played poorly, but we tied. And I had a great time. I brought someone to their first ever Fire game. He was feeling it. And so that was fun. Anyway, then we actually win a game, 2-1 against LA. Did you see this coming? Because this was the one game in those 4. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna get smoked.
I gotta be honest. When the Fire gave up that first goal, I kind of turned it off for about 10-15 minutes. While I kind of went through my emotions, like, oh, forget this team, screw this team. I'm wasting my time here. I'm not gonna watch this garbage. I'm not gonna put myself through it. But then, like every other idiot, you know what? Oh, fine. I'll just watch it.
Yeah,
it's
the Kellen Acosta goal earlier in the season kind of screwed me because I was like, I always stay because it's like you never know, you might be there for something, and then that happened. It's like I can't leave ever now, but
Yeah.
so that game was rain the whole on and off the whole time, heavy rain. I was in a big old poncho, right? It was Pride Night. I got the scarf. It was cool. I like this scarf a lot actually. And like it was a good time, man. Like you know what? As a Fire fan and not always a Fire season ticket holder, there were fans there that I saw that I hadn't seen at a game either on TV or when I've gone to games in a long time. Actually, like some Toyota Park Days type people. So it was cool, man. It was a cool vibe, and I'll tell you one of the coolest things that I have yet to hear anybody talk about. So the how can we refer to the supporters groups? Because I don't want to make a joke about Spanish and English speakers. I don't want to make a joke about white people and brown people. Like it just like because you have the Black Fires that are a part of the more collective group, right? So let's just call like the other half of Section 8, and then you have Sector Latino. So what a few of the cats did was instead of all stay in that one section over in 124, some of those cats moved over to 123 and stood in the front of the picnic section, basically, right? And so in the second half, even before we took the lead, started a moment of actual unity in the section. Every section was singing the same chant. Now, yes, there were still more sector chants than not, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it was cool to see people were like actually like this was one of the funner games, if not the funnest game of the season. Like most people were a vibe, you know, and that it's been so long since you've seen that, you know. And
that only happens when the Fire win. That like if the Fire were winning every time, they'll have like massive like tifos and all sorts of crazy stuff like back like how it was in the Toyota days.
Right? Yeah, like winning cures all.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I told my season ticket holder rep when he asked me, "How can I get you to renew?" And I said, "Well, I mean, we gotta hear some sort of a plan or announcement that Klopas is not returning next year, and that Heights might be moving somewhere at least, or you know, he's gonna get promoted and finish off the rest of the season as a GM, whatever. I don't care. But at the end of the day, all it takes is winning. If this team was winning, I don't think you would have an issue getting people to sign up to renew. People would probably renew like crazy if this team was winning and was like was competing on the East.
Oh, I totally agree with you, man. Like this same thing I said about all the stadiums, man. If these teams were winning in Chicago, no one would be talking about a new stadium. Not a one of them, Exactly. And so it's just it's wild. It is nice to see him win, and it's like I've seen a lot of talk about this, but like the draws and the win have corresponded with Shaqiri being out of the team. My question to you is that a direct correlation or is that just happenstance?
Well, the thing about Shaqiri is that, you give the guy the ball, he finds a way to lose it, and then he doesn't defend. He kind of just like jogs, like kind of sense like, okay, I'm not gonna defend. You got a guy like Brian Gutierrez, he loses the ball, he's gonna try to defend as much as he can. I'm not expecting him to be, Roberto Carlos or something like that. But he's going to try to defend. He's going to run back. And he hustled. He hustles. Shaqiri doesn't hustle. Shaqiri jogs. So I don't even, you know what? Put it like this. Let me ask you a question. Do you think you're going to see Shaqiri again on a Fire jersey?
I do. There's no way anybody can afford him. Like, why would he move? Why not keep cashing these checks, man? Like, I don't, like everybody's saying he's going somewhere. I don't see it.
I mean, the Fire could use their last, burn.
Well, then
burn
they wrote off Shabilko. So that was
They're
it, right?
They're going to write off. They got two now.
Oh, so I'm dumb. Okay. So I still think it's a coin flip chance. Why would you buy out that contract? Like, I mean, I guess unless the buyout counts
a big chunk of change.
Well, the buyout counts for a loan move, right? So he could loan him to Lugano, pay him the same exact money just from Lugano's troffers.
Well, his contract's up at the end of the year.
Sorry.
His contract's up at the end of the year anyways. So.
Right, and he's done after that anyway. 50-50. 50-50 we see him again.
Okay.
But can I say this? I personally feel like he actually I feel like had he not left but you fired Klopas, the exact same thing would happen. I think just the fact something changed is the reason it happened. Like when you're in that large of a funk, as soon as something's different, then they win a game, right? So I really don't actually think it's a pure straight line from Shaqiri gone, team better. I don't fully believe that. Now I'm not trying to.
I don't believe that. There were plenty of games without Shaqiri that the Fire couldn't win. So I don't believe that. And there's, let's put it like this: Brian Gutierrez, he did pretty decent in the LA Galaxy game, but a lot of times he's been inconsistent too.
He's inconsistent, but his highs are really high, man. I feel about Tehran. I feel like we're not talking enough about when you see, like, everybody's always talking about Tehran's mistakes, and they never are talking about when it's a masterclass. Like, that's why he was talked about before this season getting sold. Like, you can see the talent when it comes out.
Oh yeah, especially with that long throw he has. But yeah, I think you still, like, I honestly think that you still need a playmaker. You need a guy that pulls the strings. I don't think Brian Gutierrez is there yet. I honestly think Brian Gutierrez will benefit from someone that could do that. But at the end of the day, you need someone that could provide service to Kuipers.
I mean,
that's all.
I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to make another signing, or is Andrew Gutman going to remember he has a left foot?
Honestly, like at this point, I don't want Heights to make another signing. I don't want him touching the DP money. I don't want him to touch anything. I just take it as a, hey man,
you would rather just ride this out because if you ride this out, Heights is still technically here. There's no guarantee he's gone. Same thing with Klopas.
There has to be like enough is enough vibe. Like if Joe Mansueto wants to live under a rock and pretend like everything's going well in Fireland, then you know what? We pretty much got another Andrew Hoffman in our hands, and it literally feels like that now. It feels like it's a Andrew Hoffman with more money.
It does, but it doesn't, because he actually wants it to work. He's just
so did Andrew Hoffman with his BS, politicking, whatever. He said
he never really cared. He thought this was going to be like a moneymaker for him.
Yeah, and the thing is this: if Joe Mansueto wants this to work, he needs to realize that it's not working with Heights. Like, I don't know how much time you give a man until you realize, you know what, this is not going well. We should go a different direction. Like, the longer he takes to do this, the harder it is for Fire fans to stick around for all this.
We're gonna get to that. So my question is this: we lost 4 straight, okay?
Yep.
And Klopas was safe
at home.
Yes, and Klopas was safe. Now, we finally win a game, so he's gonna buy himself another month at least. He's gonna eat off that for a month. Now, dude, if they make us sit through the whole season of Klopas and not fire him, do you know what I expect next season? I'm going to tell you what I expect next season. I'm already pissed because Jose Mourinho went to Turkey. I'm expecting world-shattering fucking news, because if you have not fired Frank Klopas just for another MLS head, at least, with the team playing this poorly, then you bet you have to be cooking on like Pep Guardiola or something stupid. You have to be on
hiding.
something stupid.
Yeah, you better be hiding that spade card, like ready to just throw it on the table at the end of the season. Like, if you're gonna put everybody through this horrible season,
Two, don't you discount last year because they didn't get.
Oh my God.
Because I swear to God too, because if they get somebody who's a project of a manager, then fuck you because you didn't give Ezra enough time then.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
but you know what? We all kind of saw Ezra's deficiencies. You know, that one. Oh man, I could see Klopp's deficiency. I could see that Klopp is still stuck on MLS 1.0. And you know what? He's not going to grow out of it. He's not going to adapt. You know, his time is done with this team. It's been done with this team. It's almost becoming a travesty that the fact that you have this guy interning every time you fire a coach. You know, you make
no, that makes sense if it's like 4 games because you have a plan.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? That's fine.
Yeah.
Coach 4 games every 5 years, dude. Stick around till you're 90. Like,
yeah, but he's been an intern like twice, bro. He's been an intern
I know.
After the Week era. He's been an intern after the Ezra era. And
listen, who was that cat in Italy who got fired from AC Milan, went somewhere else, got fired from there, and then AC Milan fired their manager and hired that guy back before the end of the season? Like,
what the? I don't even know.
Yeah, it was it was one of the Milans, and it was like mid 2000s or early 2000s. Something like that, or late 90s.
You know what? I don't know, man. I don't know because those teams you tend to have a good coach. Oh man, it's
craziness. That's all I'm gonna say. It's literal madness.
It's like I you know what? At this point, man, I don't know what Joe has to kind of wake up, man. Like honestly, Joe has to.
You
wake
have
up.
to do something.
Yeah.
Anything, please. I'm begging you, anything. Like, I don't even hate Klopas, but I just need him to be fired. Just put in
him to be gone, bro.
Yeah, he's got it. Something has to change, and you can't fire every player. You can't. So, like, something's got to change.
And it's not just Klopas, man. It's Heights. Like,
well, it is Heights. Heights is the problem. But I can wait till the end of the season for Heights to fix itself.
No,
just get rid of Klopas. Give me an old MLS head. And
the easiest solution would be to ship off Heights to like Lugano or go do some global ambassador stuff.
No, but you know what's in Heights' future, right? He gonna live in Switzerland, work for FIFA, and be corrupt. Like you can just see it.
No, you can see that. You can see the corruption just oozing out. My thing is this: if you want to keep Heights because whatever personal reasons you have to keep Heights, ship him off to Lugano, ship him off to Europe. Don't have this man touch this team.
Dude,
have him.
I'm at the point where I'm so over it. I don't care if Barcelona hires him and he wins 10 trebles in a row, dude.
I don't care.
Just get out of here.
Get out of here. Leave us alone. You messed us up for 5 years. Come on. No. And like the same thing goes for Joe. Like, Joe, wake up, man. This man has taken your money and put it in a trash bin and lit it on fire.
Every time it looks like this team's gonna move on from Klopas or Heights, Heights sends Joe one of those "you up" texts and
that's what it is. That's what it is. It's like Joe's sitting there like looking at his phone, waiting for Heights to text him. Like, is he gonna text me? Is he gonna text me? Oh, what's the latest scoop? No, he hasn't texted me yet. I thought I felt my phone vibrating. Let me check. No, it's not him. It's ridiculous, man. It's oh my God. It's
ridiculous. Man, Perfect word. Perfect word. I mean,
it's like, hey, it's like this. It's like it's almost like this. Like, hey, Joe, give me $40 $50 million. Give it to me. I'm a throw it right here in this pile. I'm gonna put gas on it and light it on fire, and we can have a bonfire together.
Man, they can pay me a couple $100,000 and I'll get them a whole team of Jairo Torreses. All right. Well, on that note, we're gonna come back and talk about the Fire from a 60,000 foot view for a hot second.
Yeah.
So we love you. Peace. There's no fucking way! Oh my god! Oh my god! Welcome back, fellow enemies of the fire. We are here to yet again try and dissect all of the ills of the world with the Chicago. No, in all seriousness, man, I wanted to have another quick chat before we move on. We are at the midway point of the season for our team, right? And we sit at a very comfortable 14th place out of 15 in the East. And we don't have a game for like 2 weeks. It's just like we got to take a breath and take stock. Now, DPG and myself are both season ticket holders. Jaymes, who will be back next week, is not anymore, actually. So I want to ask you, we have talked about why we got in type of thing and like the moment that got you interested in the section and, buying season tickets. How do you feel now? Like you don't come to every game, right? You have season tickets and you don't come to every game anymore. Like, so how are you feeling right now? There's a lot of calls for, like, Bradley Wright Phillips called us out and was like, why aren't they protesting? Why do they even care?
I honestly, I'm not sure why they're not protesting. I remember during the Andrew Hoffman era that there was a lot of protests.
There was.
There was a lot of protests, and now it's kind of suspiciously been quiet from the supporter section. Like I haven't seen them pull out a Heights out or Klopa's out sign or anything. And it's like, but then you kind of look a little deeper and you kind of realize that some of these supporter groups, it almost sometimes I get the vibe that they work hand in hand with the front office. Like I guess if they pissed off the front office, that's like a recipe for disaster.
May I interject for a second? When you say these sorts of things, I think about people who claim there's crisis actors, right? Like I sit in the section, ain't nobody talking to me, bro.
But no, but think about it. Think about it.
Ain't nobody coming up to me like, yo, here's a 50. Just say Shaqiri's good.
The thing is that back in the Andrew Hoffman era, like supporter groups will actually do stuff to piss off the front office.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, but they're not doing that now anymore.
I mean, it's not. I would say this personally. We came into this season with some hope that things had turned around, and every human on the planet already knows the problem. And already knew the problem the day before we find out that these two guys got rehired for 3 years. So we all already knew. We all already said Heights out.
Yep.
And right now you just sound crazy. You sound like a 2020 it was fixed. Like you just sound insane at this point, dude. Like what do you even do? You're like Klopas lost. We didn't win a game in 9 games. And Klopas was never once in the hot seat. So, like, why would you do anything at that point? Like, it's
like ownership doesn't care. You look at serious teams, like you look at your Atlantas.
Yeah, who just fired a coach today? Atlanta.
Exactly. That's because they want to win. They want to get things going. Chicago Fire does not want to get anything going. It feels
you
like
don't think Joe
stuck.
wants to win. I firmly believe he wants to win.
You know what? If he wants to win, he clearly doesn't know how to win.
Exactly. He has no idea.
Clearly, he has no idea what he's doing. I'm guessing he's being handheld by Heights. Like Heights is holding his hand.
Yeah,
it's
Brian Schmetzer could hold his hand too. But
yeah.
but
but you know what? Ownership is not ambitious. It feels like they're lazy because they're just doing the same moves over and over again.
Have you
You
reached
know,
any kind of a last straw with your tickets or with going to games or?
when I am getting to that point, now this month I have a whole month to think about what I'm gonna do. Like this is
Well,
me as
because
a season.
not to, I'm sorry to interrupt. I do want to mention this. So you between last year this time, or like when you renewed, and this renewal, you've had a second child now, correct? Or did
Mhm.
that happen earlier?
No, that happened last year
Yeah.
in October.
So now you have two kids to think about on top of like how much are you going to pay for tickets for a crappy soccer team?
Yeah, exactly. Like I rather, it's gonna come down to whether I want to support a team that doesn't want to improve, doesn't care to improve, or would I rather spend that money on a family trip, or you know, take my kid out to a couple of baseball games next year or something like that. It's it's gotten to a point where it's hard to support this team, and it's it's usually when people say why you support this team, it's kind of becoming more and more evident why I should not be supporting this team. Uh, you hear stories about people having like mental breakdowns and mental issues and like needing to get away from certain
Right?
things to
Yeah.
kind
No,
of
I hear. Yeah, it's. I mean, it could be that bad. I joke, but in your seats, you're not dancing around playing music. Partying. You're watching bad soccer intently. So
yeah.
like it's worse. I can see why you're more mad about it.
Yeah, so it's like I you kind of remind me how I was the first couple of years when I used to sit in Section 8. Like I used to be all about the chanting and the whole let's help me carry the typo on the at Section 8 at Toyota Park. Uh, but you know the, I like I said I just wanted to support this team as just a regular fan that cares about this team. But the thing is like there's teams that have bad stretches. This team has had over a decade of a bad stretch. Like it hasn't fixed itself. It hasn't learned from itself. It's it's like ownership is oblivious to what's going on. Like they rather pretend like everything's all sunshine and rainbow, but in reality, it's like dude, we're like second to last on the East. We're literally repeating everything we've been doing for the past 4 or 5 years, and even longer.
It's insane. Everything has changed, but yet nothing has changed, like at all. In a league of constant change, and it's just yeah. So it's tough, right? Why do you support the team? I personally
Yeah,
like. I know there's been probably not the right word, accusations thrown at people in the section that they're just like, well, it's a party, screw it. Like, oh, I get to see all my friends type of thing. Which I have very
mhm,
few friends in the section. I'm new this year, but like for me personally, I guess to explain myself a touch here about why I would still buy tickets, and I'm gonna re-up next year. I haven't even looked to see if they went up in price because I know most people's did. I'm just gonna
yeah,
re-up because the fact of the matter is, like, when they say who's going to protest this team, I was there in 2013 and 14 and 15 and 18 and 19, like ready for the season, watch the first 10 games and then just like, oh, I forgot the game was on today, and like not buying shit. Like there's a reason why
mhm,
there's not an entire room full of scarves. You know what I
yep,
mean? Like I would not buy stuff. I would not buy like,
yeah,
I wouldn't make sure I was home to watch the game. And that's the thing too, man. Like I grew up where I first found out and fell in love with the team and got this scarf. Good God, it's so hard to do in a mirrored image. This one right here was in Peoria. You know what I mean? Like I didn't live by the stadium, so I didn't come to a game. Like I saw them in the Open Cup in Peoria, but I didn't come to a game until 2009, right? And I moved to the Chicago area in 2010. And I was like, all right, I know we're going to go through a little bit of a patch. So I'll wait a couple years and I'll buy season tickets. I'll get in on an exciting year. I have waited all the way until this season, from 2010 until 2024, to buy season tickets to this team. Until this year, even before, like, I'm telling you, I got season tickets before we re-signed Heights and Klopas, so there was no Hugo hype. There was no Kellen Acosta. There was no hope, right? And I still got tickets because I wanted to go to games. Now, I went to games throughout that whole time, but not, like, there was times I was like, I am not paying for anything for this team. And, you know, I should be like that now, but honestly, I'm an adult. I want to go to the games. I want to have a good time. I want to just have, I guess I'm the problem. I'm there just to have a good time and party. I'd like for the team to do better.
You're typical MLSer, man. You're a typical MLSer.
I mean, I was way more, I guess
you probably clap for a draw.
Depends on the draw. Depends on the draw. Depends on the draw.
You're probably those people. You're probably those people that claps when a plane lands.
No, dude, don't get it twisted. I be booing people constantly. Anytime you hear anybody reference the referee likes Nickelback, that's this fool right here. But like
you, I can hear it from my side.
I be booing Gaston Jimenez the way we booed Ricky Pugh. God. You know what I'm saying? Like, so don't get it twisted. I'm not Don out here.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing, and this is why it's like it's like 2017 was like a tease, and like it was such a different vibe, man. It's like the team was winning.
Can I tell you I was in such protest mode still in 2017 that I was hating on that team. I was so, like, you got Arturo Alvarez up there. I was such a Arturo Alvarez hater. I couldn't even enjoy the fact he had his career year because I knew it was fake. Yeah. And then, like, by the All-Star break, they plummeted. Yeah.
At least the game was half a season a really good season.
They did. There was some fun games. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I had fun.
You know, and there was such a different vibe because I remember this stadium was selling out. Holy crap, who would have thought Toyota Park will sell out? There was standing room only. I remember getting a text message at least 3 or 4 times saying, "Oh, by the way, tickets are sold out. Standing room only." And it was such a different vibe. It wasn't hard to bring people to the game.
No,
like the Fire were winning.
There was a time where Jeff Crandall sent me free tickets one time because he was like, "Who's got the best reason to get free tickets?" And I was like, "Well, last season I took 15 different people to their first Fire game." You know what I mean? Like, I would get people at work to go. Like, this was, like I said, I moved to the area in 2010. We were still decent. And then there was like 2 years of like, we suck, but like, we're the Fire. We're going to be good again, right? And then
no,
because 2012, you talk about 2017, a lot of people do, and I'm gonna probably catch hell for this, but like, I don't count 2012 and 2017 as good teams. Like, no. There's so many teams make the playoffs in MLS. I don't feel like every one of them is a good team, and like, honestly, so that means the last time we had a good team was 2009. That's
if we were
bonkers.
We were talking about an all around good team, yeah.
Yeah, an all around good team.
I think 2013 is when we had like Mike McGee. Like, that was like the highlight of that season. It was like,
we still missed the playoffs.
He
was
MVP. The playoffs, but oh my god!
Do you remember? Do you know what the best part about that was? He scored a hat trick in the first game of the season against us in LA.
Yeah. Yep. And he comes back, and I remember watching him play against like. In the Open Cup, I think I brought my cousin there. We were all hyped up. We were like, "Oh, Magic Mike!" Because dude, he was scoring like crazy in the Open Cup. I think we were playing Orlando City, and this was back before they joined MLS. It was like still like USL Orlando City.
Oh yeah.
And like we won like 5-1, bro. It was like a crazy game. It was a fun game.
Oh my God. See, you know what else people don't talk about 2017 though? Can I remember we went to Cincinnati and in front of 30,000 fans lost to a third division team? Anyway, continue.
Yeah, it's it's just, I don't know. It's at this point I really got to think about what I want to do. Because it's getting hard to support this team, and it's like if this team was winning, it would be a no-brainer. I'll be like, yeah, sign
Oh
me up
yeah.
again. I would actually make the effort to go to every game if this team was winning. But now it's like, man, do I really want to drive just to see them lose? Do I really want to, spend my hard-earned money on gasoline to go see them lose? You know, do I really want to put my kid through that? Do I really want him to watch a game where, he's not going to be into because, the other team is winning? So, I mean, I don't know. I
You know
gotta
what?
think about
You
this.
introduced the poison pill for me. Like if they like I said, I'm gonna renew no matter what, except if they tell me they're moving to Toyota Park next season. I am not. I'm going to tell you one right here, right now. FC Neo Tokyo has one declaration that you will hear. I will never, ever again in my life get behind the wheel and drive to watch a terrible soccer team. Never again.
At Toyota Park.
I mean,
Or in
I'm
general.
taking an Uber to the one game I'm going to this year. Oh, you know what? Let's bring that up. Are you going to Leagues Cup? Because here's where I'm having trouble, okay? This is where I'm having trouble. I want Leagues Cup to die a slow, horrific, nonsensical, just horrific, get the hell out of here death, okay?
Yep.
But I haven't been to Toyota Park in so long, and, like, we're playing Toluca. When's the next time I'm going to see a fucking Mexican team?
Honestly, you want to go to Toyota Park, you just wait till September. We got 2 games there.
One of those, you know what's funny? One of those I'm going to trade in because I'm actually agreed to go to a game with my buddy in St. Louis. Like, I would never do that. I would never do that if we were in the fucking hunt for the playoffs.
So you basically traded that to go eat some bad pizza and their whatever fake cheese or whatever they put on it, some weird cheese, and you pretty much went to a dump.
I've already been there. I went to the Fire game there. I went there last season with him, man. I mean, I'm a good friend.
Eating frozen raviolis.
I don't eat none of that shit. They French fries, dog. If I didn't bring it to St. Louis, I eat French fries. There's not a thing within a mile radius of where we stay that I can actually ingest as a vegan. French fries.
French fries. That's the only thing you could do. That's basically it, man. And you better hope that they don't make it in like animal fat.
I mean, at that point, it's just like, man, the ignorance is best. But
I mean,
that's where as best as you possibly can in the definition of vegan jumps in. But anyway,
when those fries taste really good with beef tallow, you're like, man, these fries are awesome.
What would you rather them be at Toyota Park or Soldier Field? I know my answer because I love Soldier Field.
Honestly, I like Soldier Field. I'd rather be at Soldier Field.
Yeah, agreed.
I
100%.
wish the food was a little better, but
I'm getting pretty sick of pretzels.
Jesus, bro! Like I think, you want a chicken tender box. It's like $17, man.
This is brutal. It's absolutely brutal, man. Who's spending that? Actually, my buddy bought one of those. He spent $17 on that.
$17, bro.
Oh my god!
On 3 or 4 tenders with fries.
Oh, that's brutal. Oh my god. Okay.
And you know what's the worst part? They didn't have regular barbecue sauce.
What do you mean by regular?
They didn't have like the regular barbecue sauce. They had honey mustard. They had ranch.
Okay.
They had something called the boom boom sauce, whatever that is.
No, thank you.
And some other random flavor, but they didn't have just a regular like they had something called hickory barbecue. And we're like, oh yeah, let's get some barbecue sauce. Nothing was coming out. We open it up, it's empty. $17. You can't even get regular barbecue sauce.
Okay, I actually, you know what? You brought that around at the end. I agree with you. I think that's bullshit. Actually, I totally I went from being like, what the hell is this dude talking about, to being like, no, we need to right the team. Anyway, man, is there anything else you can think of about this team? Like, I want the coach fired. I want
I want the GM fired. You know what? At this point, man, I'll even take new ownership, man. If if this man wants to sit on his hands at this point, I'll just give me new ownership. I don't want to be part of this anymore. Just give me new ownership. I don't want anything to do with this guy not doing
be
anything.
careful what you wish for, brother. Like, you know, be careful what you wish for. New ownership is
Man,
not always.
I'll take the I'll take the bullet, bro. It's honestly new ownership has worked out well for expansion teams, so why not us?
Okay, fair. Yeah, that's about it for the Chicago Fire. I don't feel like I necessarily had to defend myself about that, but I just hear so much about like we need to protest and you need to boycott, and it's just like, dude, I already bought the tickets, dude. What like. I like going out and seeing a soccer game. Like
you don't want to be one of those idiots that go burns their like sports team jerseys.
Dude, I where were you? I boycotted for 15 years. Where were you?
I was an idiot.
Jumping
up and down in Section 8.
Don't be mad at me that I bought tickets this year. Like I boycotted for 15 years. I did my part. I did my time. Anyway, everybody, This has been Enemies of the Fire. We love you. From FC Neo Tokyo, DPG, and next week Jaymes will be here. We love you guys. Peace.
Take it easy.
Like, subscribe, comment, all that.
Calm down.
Sorry,
James.
I forgot. Yeah, he always what's his favorite one? Punt that like button. Night, everybody.
Good night.